We're joined here with Lisann and Mike Castagno. I guess I was going to ask you what your names are, but I've already told them.
You just did.
Yes.
I guess tell us what your occupation is outside of pro-life. What is your normal everyday job?
So I'm a high school math teacher at St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia. And I've been there 15 years, but I've been teaching overall 33 years. So.
And I'm an independent insurance agent, and I also do HR for a garage door company in the area, local garage door company in the area.
Okay. Full-time stuff?
Yes.
Full-time.
Full-time both, yes.
So you're not retired. Neither of you are retired.
Not even
No,
close.
we are not
Not even
retired.
close.
But you have time and experience with the baby's breath. How long have you been with the baby's breath?
Oh, goodness.
I think it's been 10 years now.
At least.
I think it's been 10
At
years
least,
we've been
yeah.
associated with the baby's breath in different capacities.
Right.
And what has been your general role in a baby's breath, or positions here and there, or?
Well, when we started, we were just supporters of a baby's breath because we always believed in the mission of a baby's breath. And then we have come on board to teach natural family planning for any clients and customers or anybody associated with a baby's breath who would like to learn about natural family planning, fertility awareness. I'm currently on the corporate board of a baby's breath, so that's been an evolution over the last, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years, I think.
Okay.
I have offered, since I am a math teacher, I've taught college and currently teach high school, to do tutoring for anyone who needs to, maybe finish their GED or whatever. So
The other component that is more recent development is we're both have agreed to give a lifestyle counseling to clients, any clients, about the beliefs of a baby's breath and what we hold near and dear, and we firmly believe that the way people conduct their lives can and will keep them, if they do it in what we believe is the appropriate way, can and will keep them out of crisis pregnancies, which is one of the things we deal with here at a baby's breath. So we're offering a lifestyle counseling session, which is available to any and all clients for a baby's breath. I think there is a pre-recorded session that we've had conversation with that's available, but we also have extended that we will have a one-on-one conversation. And then for those clients who are on track to be qualified for the independence program, that's a mandatory component to their progress.
Okay. You mentioned coaching lifestyle as something that you're trying to facilitate, and that seems to be a common thing, more than people recognize. We just had the survey statistics from our leadership course say that 5 out of most people who come to a baby's breath, that's what they're seeking, is some sort of instruction. But if you go up and tell someone, hey, you're living wrong, you're going to get a pushback. But there is something interior that wants to be guided. How do you kind of bring that out, you think, with a lifestyle training?
gently.
Well, you want to take this or want me to take it?
You can start it.
Well,
Both give your answers.
so we try, and not only in our work with a baby's breath, but we also do a marriage prep work for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And we are very conscious, and we try very hard to not come from a position of judgment. We always say it's a judgment-free zone, but we want to have this conversation.
Right.
And we try to, in that regard, not hit them over the head, but we also try to, I don't want to say bring them along because that's a little condescending, but just to go through methodically and logically why it makes sense to live in accord with your vocation. If your vocation is marriage, that's a one way of living. If you're a single person, that's another way of living. So we try really to have the conversation with the clients.
Yeah, we definitely propose to them, what living rightly looks like, and really what are the side effects of living rightly, and that you don't then have to worry about having a crisis pregnancy, or just there seems to be a domino effect that comes from making bad judgments, basically. And so we definitely propose to them. We always say it's a proposition, not a imposition. So,
but Jared, you also hit the nail on the head that, we believe, I think collectively we all believe, that there's something deep-seated within the human heart that is yearning to live rightly in accord with the way God has planned for us to live. And, that involves, if you're not married, living a chaste lifestyle. And it's not, it's not just about make sure you don't do this because it's bad or evil. It's not about that. It's about living in accord with the way, with your life now. And if you're single, you are not in a position to raise a child by yourself. So the appropriate platform, the appropriate place for the expression of love in that regard, in the most intimate way, which is open, which, could lead to pregnancy, is if you're married, right? If you have someone who you have vowed to spend the rest of your life with, you vow before God and before society that we're going to spend our lives together. And as a team, you now have children, as opposed to an individual who's by themselves, who doesn't have support, and now they find themselves pregnant. And of course, we want them to keep the child. We're not talking about that, but it has an entire set of ramifications that come with that, as opposed to when a married couple has children.
And our hope is that through this, independence program, through this talk, if you will, about chastity, that let's say they have a child already, they obviously, you have a child, so there's a lot that goes along with it. They're beautiful and they are just a gift, but there's a lot of work involved. And for a single mom to be doing that, that's hard. And so our hope is that we talk to them about like lifestyle choices and things that they can change so that they can create a better life for themselves and for their children that they may have. So,
are there any offered resources or words of encouragement that really convicts the spirit of these clients that say, oh, I can change and I will change to have a more Christian lifestyle, because I do see that proceeding into a better life? Is there case studies or examples that you've seen, or if just anything that would give it more light as to why you do what you do?
Well, we know statistically, and it's been proven that for a person to not be in poverty, right, which is a whole challenging way of living life, is to be in poverty, your odds increase astronomically when you come from a two-parent household and you complete a high school education. Those people that have just those two components have an exponentially greater chance of being out of poverty as an adult than those that are not in those circumstances. So the statistics are all over the place that A plus B does equal C. And so, again, you don't want to be you don't want to just sanitize it and reduce it to statistics and say, hey, but it's the truth. And, we try to convey that in a loving, compassionate way that, here's the way, if you live your life this way, the fruits are immense and you're living in accord with what God has planned for you. And when we live in accord with what God has planned for us, as we all know, the fruits are amazing.
For our married clients that we've taught, one of the things, I do love statistics. I love math. So I've done a lot of research in divorce statistics and couples who use NFP as opposed to the general public. And it's kind of led me all over the world, really, in dealing with dioceses. And there have been studies. And so, general public, it's very sad. Divorce is 50% plus. But for couples who use natural family planning, the highest divorce statistic I have found is 4%. And I don't think that's by accident. And, people say, okay, well, because people who use NFP are more religious. Okay, maybe. But then maybe that's not a bad thing. But we have had clients who are not even Catholic, who have come purely for the holistic part of NFP because they looked at different parts of their lives. They were eating better, they were working out, and then they looked at this and they said, oh, wow, we got to change this. And so, they came to a class, they learned how to use NFP. And, some of our best clients have been the ones who were here more for the holistic aspect. So, yeah.
So we teach what we call, there's a lot, NFP is a large umbrella. There are a lot of methodologies that are contained therein. There's, as we talked about in the last conference, naprotechnology. There's the Billings ovulation method. We teach the symptothermal method, which is basically, again, it's fertility awareness. It's determining when ovulation is occurring. Therefore, when is the couple most likely to conceive if they engage in the marital embrace, at that time. The symptothermal method is 98% effective as a method. Now, when you take it to user effectiveness, then I think it drops to like 90% or 89% or something like that. Because again, users are going to sometimes take chances. We're going to misread some, whatever. But the methodology does drop when we talk about user effectiveness. But the method itself is 98% effective. It's pure science, and it's tremendous. We were at we were talking at high school, Hallahan, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were talking at the high school about natural family planning, and we talked about everything about it, and we talked about the methodology of it, and we weren't giving a class, but we were kind of giving an overview of what is involved.
And we spoke about chastity.
We spoke with that. We did,
right?
Correct. But at that one point, when we talked about the effectiveness of natural family planning and not putting hormones in the woman's body and all of the negatives that we know are a result of artificial contraception, one of the girls said, she screamed out, she said, "I got to tell my boyfriend about this." And we went, no, wait, hold it, time out. No, you don't.
You misunderstood.
So we had to reinforce that this is about a married couple should use natural family planning in spacing their children. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on the next topic is how does natural family planning get brought up in the right light? Like what is the proper use in lifestyle coaching? And you said for a married couple, I guess, is there anything more to say about with married couple? Like when should they consider, holding off on having children? Like, is there a crisis in their life that truly is something that they should be considering, or is there a better way to trusting in God? Or
well, every couple's in a different place, right? So, and have different circumstances going on, and so the circumstances of your marriage and our marriage are different, and so we do tell couples to prayerfully kind of consider what those circumstances are. Like, where are you financially? Where are you physically? Where are you spiritually? That's
where
a big
are you
thing. Emotionally,
yeah, psychologically,
and
as
so
a couple.
you two need to really talk about that. And it does boil down to the two of you, but we say, you also need to involve God in that conversation, because sometimes we're the ones saying no,
Right.
And God's saying, definitely, yeah, this is the time. And then...
Interrupt for a minute. God knows our hearts better than we do. Mm-hmm. And we, as Lisann said, we might be saying no, and God might be saying yeah. Or conversely, we might be saying yes, please, God, please send us a baby of our own. We want a biological child. And that answer might be not right now. And in some couples' cases, not ever, right? So maybe they have to look to a different way of being life-giving, which is what we're all called to be. Maybe adopting, maybe foster parenting, maybe coaching, giving blood at the Red Cross is being life-giving. So again, it's, as Lisann said, it's the cooperation with God. It's like, Lord, what do you want for us? What's your plan for us? We may not see it right now, but help us figure it out.
Yeah, in a sense, natural family planning is taking that step in the direction of trying to operate your family effectively. Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
God can use that method to allow you to bring the best life into this world, not one of impoverishedness because they have to share resources so close to each other. You want to give each child, I think of it as you want to plant each seed the right distance apart so that they get the right nutrients, that they don't take from each other
Yes.
what
Right.
they rightfully deserve.
Exactly. That's exactly
that-
right.
Again, take it with prayer. If God says this spacing is right for you, you take it as is, and He'll give you sufficient strength. But
Yes.
I think that approach is encouraging for people who are on the fence about if they want to learn NFP or not.
Yeah. And even that answer is different for every couple, right? Some couple might say, no, we're 3 years apart. That's the way we're doing it. Some couples might say, we want to have 2 or 3 right away so we can spend time as a family together, close. And again, no right or wrong answer. It really is up to the couple and God, of course.
So we talked a lot about your involvement with the lifestyle. I guess talking a little bit more about baby's breath and how you implement in a baby's breath. How much time does it take you? Just putting your daily effort of being on the board, lifestyle coaching. What is your daily week in a baby's breath like? Because you guys are full time with your professions.
Yeah. No, well, truth be known, Catholic Guild, I probably should devote more time to a baby's breath than we do. It's a matter of some emails back and forth, some phone calls, some board meetings. It is not taxing at all. Now with this lifestyle course, what we'd also like to offer is, here's our phone. Let's have, you can talk for an hour and get across all the points, but there's ongoing support that is needed, in 3 months. Hey, Lisann, so we want to offer that. That hasn't come to fruition yet, but hopefully it will, because I think it's important to have, I don't want to say a mentor, but somebody that they can have a conversation with just to reaffirm what we're trying to do.
I think it is crucial to have that mentor, as you said, for each girl or each couple, if need be, so that if something comes up, they can, kind of bounce ideas off of us, or just and sometimes just talking about what's going on in their life or whatever. So, yeah. For sure.
Okay, and then how has pro-life, I guess, been your influence throughout your life? I know you had some pro-life speaking before a baby's breath. Mm-hmm. How have you kind of naturally progressed to be, now I'm in the position of a baby's breath?
For me, I have always been pro-life. I keep thinking to myself, actually, it's funny because lately I've been thinking I've kind of grown up in the pro-life movement. In that I've matured. I have a much more mature thought about what it is to be pro-life. And I feel like I was much quieter about talking to people about being pro-life and what that means when I was younger. Probably because I was a little fearful of what they would say. Whereas now, not at all am I I don't fear anything. And in my job, at St. Joe's, I run the Respect Life Club. And so some people think, and they've told me, that club does not have a place at an all-boys high school, which annoys me because I always say it takes 2 to tango, and that it would, if, a woman having a baby, there's obviously a father somewhere, and does the father know? And would he want her to have an abortion? And does he should have a right to say no? And so, I'm very honest with my students and say, your rights are gone. Like, even if you don't want your girlfriend or whoever in this culture, it's not. Everybody thinks you have no rights to say anything, and so that's kind of been a passion for me to get that out there.
Fortunately, you have a nice sphere of influence there, and then you can convey these thoughts to the younger generation. You can share with Jared the correspondence you had with the young man
I had
yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, so yesterday leaving school, I had a student of mine. The day before, I had a speaker come in who was a pro-life OBGYN doctor in the area, Dr. Les Ruppersberger, and he spoke to the guys and all about really the mission of the family, and it was a beautiful talk. And he that was on Thursday. Friday, I'm leaving work, and Brendan came running up to me and said, "Can I speak with you? I'll walk with you as you're leaving," and just thanked me for having Dr. Ruppersberger in, and said, I never thought about really the pro-life issue. And he said, I guess I was just immature and just, how does this affect me? And he said, I realized this is murder. And he said, and how wrong this is, and that it's so short-sighted for people to think this is sort of the okay to do. And he, right. And he thanked me.
Permanent solution.
Right,
Absolutely.
exactly. So it was really nice because he had thanked me for bringing him in, and he thanked me. He's young, he's a sophomore, and so he said, "Okay, I want to get involved now. I want to do things." And I think it's so nice, and I think it's important. I think when we talk to young people about this, and we don't need to hit them over the head. We really just have to put the facts in front of them. It just makes sense.
But it does belie, and I said this to you after you told me the story, it does belie, the conventional wisdom is, don't have a conversation or an argument with someone over politics, religion, or abortion, because you're never going to change their mind. So what's the point? And I just disagree. I said, no, the point is the point, because we believe we have truth on our side. And if you can shine a light on truth, and maybe not then, maybe not the week after, maybe not the month after, but if you can just at least introduce something to that person that just might connect, like it did with this young man, then we've won.
Where would they hear it elsewise?
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
So, last question then, because give me a lot of information about lifestyle, but I want to just talk from your own personal experience. How would you put somebody in your position to coach someone about lifestyle? Like, what gives them the perfect, temperament or attitude? Like, what can give them a better, clear direction how to coach lifestyle?
So it's not, in my opinion, it's not about what you've done in your past. I mean, we're pretty boring. We feel like we practiced chastity before we got married. We had our 3 kids. We're not typical. We know a lot of people who have actually had abortions when they were teenagers, when they were in their 20s. Not a lot. We know some.
Yeah.
And they've had a conversion of heart, and they're out there having these amazing conversations and reaching and touching a lot of people because of their story. So it's about your story, and it's about conveying your story in a way that's relatable.
Right, but also from a place of love. I think that's important. I think people, we're all human, and I think we all just crave to be loved, right? And it's that place of love, touching people and letting them know, we understand, but we're here to help you, and we're here to do whatever we can. We will walk you along this journey, and I think that's important. I think people are afraid of being being outside of Planned Parenthood. We've been accused of, and I'm sure others who have been out there have been accused of, all you care about is babies, and then once the women have their babies, you abandon them. Well, obviously, a baby's breath keeps going, right? Keeps going. They help them, and they help them along their journey in so many ways, not only with diapers and whatever, but the lifestyle program and giving them monetary, incentives to live rightly. That's a big deal. And so, people, there are a lot of people, and Michael's right, it's not about where you came from, it's where you are now and how you can help others. And I think ultimately, people want to help others. And especially when they have turned their life around, they think, I want to prevent people from being hurt the way I was hurt, you know.
Because the wounds of abortion run deep.
I believe it.
They really do. And so it is from a place of love to say, don't want you to go through that. You know, how can we help?
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
That
you.
was very
Thank you.
informative, so I appreciate it.